These 12 kitchen items from childhood quietly poisoned an entire generation. Mid-century American kitchens represented the height of modern convenience, filled with bright colors and shining chrome. Families gathered around tables set with beautiful dishes and relied on appliances that promised an easy domestic life. The reality was much riskier, as manufacturers prioritized aesthetics over human safety. Before federal regulations caught up, everyday cooking involved handling radioactive glassware, breathing invisible asbestos fibers, and cooking with heavy metals. The amount of hazardous materials hiding in plain sight is surprising. Subscribe to this channel, and you will start recognizing these forgotten historical details everywhere. The prized dishes in the family china cabinet often held a troubling secret. Manufacturers like Anchor Hocking added up to 25% uranium oxide to glass mixtures during the 1920s, creating a brilliant green tint known as Vaseline glass. Production halted in 1942 only because the federal government confiscated all uranium supplies for the Manhattan Project. Families also unknowingly consumed radiation through the Revigator, a ceramic water cooler lined with carnotite ore. Painted instructions directed users to drink 6 to 8 glasses of irradiated water daily for improved health. The public eventually learned the lethal nature of radium and ended the era of radioactive tableware, though not before households consumed thousands of gallons of intentionally poisoned water. Post-war aluminum abundance brought pressure cookers into 37% of American homes by 1950. These first-generation devices relied entirely on a single-weighted pressure regulator and lacked any secondary safety backup. A stray piece of food easily clogged the sole vent, causing pressure to build, until the heavy metal lid blew off with concussive force. Shrapnel and boiling meat regularly destroyed kitchens and caused severe burns. Equally dangerous was the chrome 1926 Toastmaster 1A1. This appliance featured exposed nichrome heating elements and utilized unpolarized two-prong plugs. When bread jammed, impatient users frequently reached inside with metal butter knives. They inadvertently completed the electrical circuit and suffered large shocks that made the toaster a leading cause of domestic electrocution. To manage the high temperatures of electric burners, hardware stores universally sold metallic-edged stove mats for pennies. These handy discs consisted of pure, friable asbestos cloth wrapped around a rigid asbestos millboard core. Cooks placed them directly beneath heavy pots to prevent scorching. The intense heat eventually caused the mats to disintegrate and release invisible toxic fibers directly into the breathing zone of the person preparing the meal. This same deadly insulation coated the fabric-wrapped electrical cords attached to vintage coffee percolators. Manufacturers wove pure asbestos fiber into the braided cotton sleeves to prevent wires from melting against hot metal surfaces. Decades of unplugging degraded the cotton exterior, crumbling the exposed asbestos insulation directly onto food preparation areas. Corning Glassworks introduced brightly colored opal glass bowls in the late 1940s, and patterns like spring blossom green quickly became household staples. The underlying borosilicate glass was perfectly safe, yet the exterior decals relied heavily on lead and cadmium to maintain their vibrant shine. Decades of abrasive dishwasher cycles caused this paint to chalk, transferring heavy metals to hands and food. Similar contamination occurred with traditional redware bean pots. Potters coated these deep brown vessels in thick lead glazes to create a waterproof finish. Families routinely slow-cooked acidic foods like tomatoes in these ceramics for hours. The acidic environment actively leached toxic lead from the glaze, seasoning the family stew with neurotoxins over decades of use. Preparing ground meat required clamping a heavy cast-iron Enterprise grinder to the kitchen table. These everyday devices pulled food through sharp cutting plates using a hand-cranked auger and operated entirely without finger guards. Medical reviews spanning 50 years rank these specific manual grinders among the top 10 objects responsible for hand amputations. Children frequently caught their fingers in the feed tube, forcing emergency responders to cut the cast iron apart with angle grinders. The manual rotary egg beater presented a similar mechanical menace. Companies designed these mixers with large, exposed, interlocking metal gears positioned near the handle. The rapidly moving cogs lacked any protective housing and easily caught loose apron strings or long hair, resulting in painful scalp injuries before enclosed electric mixers replaced them. Entertaining guests in the mid-20th century required a beautifully cut glass decanter sitting on the dining room sideboard. True Crystal achieves its signature weight by incorporating up to 32% lead oxide into the glass mixture. Drinking a single glass of wine posed minimal risk, which meant consumers felt entirely safe. The hidden danger emerged when households stored port or whiskey in these vessels for months. The alcohol acted as a powerful solvent and extracted considerable quantities of heavy metal directly into the evening nightcap. Meanwhile, the durable Bakelite handles on the family percolator slowly degraded. Manufacturers reinforced this early plastic with brown asbestos and formaldehyde to withstand stove temperatures. Years of thermal stress caused the handles to crack, venting toxic dust into the room. The mid-century kitchen remains a powerful symbol of family and comfort, even though the tools used to create those memories were exceptionally dangerous. Understanding the chemical reality behind these vintage items reminds us how far consumer safety regulations have come since the 1950s. Subscribe to the channel for more stories about the hidden history of everyday items from the past.